By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
This is Jeff, aka PF, the creator of the podcast, Indie Podcaster, where I chat with podcasters and other cool content creators. I talk to them about the things they're passionate about and what drives them. If you want to learn about some cool podcasters, go to podcastfather.com. But more importantly, let's get to the man of the hour. He's got a pod with a bod. I've been podcasting for 15 years, and I can say he is my favorite podcaster. The man, the myth, the legend, Tim McCarthy, and his show, 20 TI. Oops. 20 Tim Minutes. Check it out.
What is happening, everybody? You're tuning into another episode of, you guessed it, 20 Tim Minutes. This podcast focuses on mental health through humor, insight, and personal stories. That introduction was done by Jeff, the podcast father. If you listened to last week's episode, I called him out because he was supposed to send me a recording, and he finally did it, and I forgot to send him mine. So I owe him back. Definitely check out Jeff. He's doing a really good thing for indie podcasters, for podcasters like me that are tough to come by. So definitely check him out. He's a great dude. I went on his show to do a little chat about before one of his big shows, and he reminded me of Bill Burr a little bit. Just like his aura and the way he looked. Handsome guy. But Jeff, thank you for that introduction. You absolutely nailed it. And he knows how much I hate the TI minutes thing because people legit do that to my podcast. It's TIM, like capital. I feel like people would know, but it's okay. If you're a fan of this podcast, call it TI minutes. Whatever. I just won't respond. But thank you again, man. And again, every show, 1-800-273-8255 is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. If you don't like talking to people, try the crisis text line text it by 741-741 and text the word home. If you want to learn more and you're not in the States or Canada, go to crisistextline.org. Those are pretty good two options. So I was just reading this right before I started because I'm doing this last minute, and they tested virtual reality therapy where you put on an Oculus pretty much, and you can lay on your own couch and talk to a therapist who's probably just a pixelated person. And I think that's dude, that's stuff from that's a 80s thing, an 80s movie thinking about the future, and they nailed it. I want to say it's in a movie. It's got to be in a movie. I haven't seen The Matrix, and yes, I'm you haven't seen that movie? I've never seen any Matrixes. There's a lot of movies I haven't seen, and people would be very upset with me. Haven't seen Avatar, Matrix, and I'm going to say this one, all right? I'm going to say this right now, and it's because every Christmas people say it, and I just didn't watch it as a kid or younger, I've never seen any Die Hard. I've never told anybody that, and when people talk to me about it, I just disassociate. So yeah, I've never seen Die Hard, and I won't see it because everyone has that dumb Christmas debate. So once people stop doing that, I'll go see it. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting because they did a test. And when I say they, I don't know who, but they did it. The people that make virtual reality, and they had different ages from 18 to 52, and 30% of them said they would do that and they liked it. And I feel like a lot of people like that. We have a whole different world now, and people just don't like going outside with COVID, or just people and just having anxiety or agoraphobia. I think I would try it. I definitely would, because I would laugh the whole time. And I wonder if there's virtual reality, tissues that you put up to your face and you unlock a hidden trophy. Or you get up and walk out and slam the door because you didn't like what she said. But then what would you do if you got up and started trying to fight your therapist? There's a lot of things to it, and I really want to try it. I wonder what it'd be called. Therapy VR? Nailed it. $60 from Activision. So yeah, 20timminutes.com. Go check that out. You can buy my merch. You can download my app, sign up for my newsletter, ask me a question, send me recommendations, all that junk. Got that out of the way. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty. Episode 61. Again, if you're new to this podcast, I say a lot of the same things. So if you aren't a new listener, tough shit. Episode 61, I always name my podcast after I record because I think I take something that I said and I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool. But yeah, it was my birthday weekend, January 16th. I turned 36. Holy shit. Like people were doing like the 10-year challenge about like a photo from 10 years ago and a photo from now. I'm like, dude, my 10-year challenge is figuring out what the fuck happened between those 10 years. Time flies, okay? I felt like I just got out of college. Oh, dropped out of college. I'm sorry. Um, and now I'm there. I'm in a closet talking to you about mental health. Who would have thought? Not me. Another person from my job found the podcast. There was like a Facebook group of like moms of like Massachusetts or something, and she saw it and she sent me a text and she said some nice things. But big fan of the show, said it, Julie. So I thank you for even recommending my show to somebody in that little Facebook group. Just all mums hanging out. You're a mom, I'm a mom. I got mums. So shout out to all the mums out there. Dads, whatever. But yeah, I went down to Newport and Middleton, Rhode Island, and I walked goats on a leash. Yep, Simmons Farm, great people, great tour guide. And we all got to walk a goat on a leash. And I let everybody pick their goat, and I was going to take the last one. And would you know it, I got the craziest one. He didn't have horns. He had like a missing eye. He really didn't, but he probably should have. And he was an absolute beast. His name was, I think, Charles Hubba Hubba Nightmare, which does not roll off the tongue, but I liked him, and I got a lot of photos with him, and I had a lot of fun. So I went down to Newport like last year, and I stuck stickers everywhere, and I realized they took like the poles down, and I saw one still on a trash can, and it was picked out a little bit, but those stickers are so good. They're so hard to pick. So I went around that town, and I was sticking everything. Sticked. I always do it if there's like a bunch of stickers there, because if I do it like just by itself, then that thing's getting ripped down. So it was very cool to see like the old stickers and stuff. But yeah, I had a lot of fun in Newport. It was good to just get away for a weekend and just celebrate me. 36 is tough because I hate getting old, and I can't complain about people not wishing me a birthday. I assume everyone's busy, and I'm going to get into assumptions in this category. But I think like people that you talk to, and there's this thing I saw, it's like, you guys remember earlier episodes, I would always talk about like go and text somebody you haven't talked to in a while, because it's good to check up on people you don't hear about anymore. And I feel like I've been doing that for a while, and it's not getting reciprocated. And it's not even because like the show or whatever, it's just in general. And I saw like one of those memes that was like, stop texting people that you've been texting first and see what happens, pretty much. And it's like an eye opener for sure. And it's not like, I don't like, again, my assumptions are bad. I always think people are mad at me or don't like me, which is probably the case anyway. But like there was just certain people I didn't hear from on my birthday. And I'm calling my sister out. I don't know what the fuck is your issue, but I wish you a happy birthday. You didn't wish me. My sister's birthday is 2 days after me, which I'm not a huge fan of, because like I had Christmas, and then come my birthday, I got to share a cake with my sister, and both of my names are on it. But she forgot my birthday and didn't say anything because she was in Aruba ripping it up. She's 46. All right. Your memory's going away, and I don't know why. Get it together, sister. But yeah, just like stuff like that kind of bummed me out. It's not like I need happy birthdays, but it'd be cool to just like someone reach out sometimes and be like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Here's a good segue for me to talk to you. But I'm not going to cry about that. I'm over it. 36, going to be turned 37 next year. Fuck. Been having a lot of mood swings lately, even on my medication. And every time I talk to my therapist, I don't bring it up. I need to write down a journal of like every day. Like, I don't know why I don't do this. I'm so lazy. But man, like when I'm in those moods, I'm like, I'll never get out of this mood. I'm always going to be like this. And then the next day I'm like, I sleep and I change. And then I go in my car and just like drive to work and have ideations of dying and just get sad. And it's just like a rolling fucking snowball every time. And then I'm like, yeah, this shit's going to stay with me all the time. And again, it's like my meds, like, I don't know how many more milligrams I need to take. Like what is next? Am I just going to I don't even know, but I'm still working on it. I'm still feeling good. I always get like motivated in the car. Then I get to work and I'm like, ugh. Or I get home and I'm like, ugh, I'm going to bed. If I could like work out and get things done in my car, I'd be unstoppable. So thinking about those goats, by the way, I was reading an article, and them, whoever they is, said, and this is obvious. A lot of times they're like, I saw one article, it was like, quitting your job helps out your mental health. Like, yeah, no shit. I wish I could quit my job, but how long am I going to be happy without a job and no money? That was a weird article. I didn't click on it, but I just saw the headline. I'm a sucker for clickbait. I'll see a wrestling clickbait article and I have to read it, and they always get you. They're like, wrestler dies in the ring, and like it's like a fake thing. Like, I don't even know. I don't know. One wrestler stabbed a guy with a fork and he was bleeding. I go down these rabbit holes and I click back and I'm on the same page I was started on, and it's like 3 hours later. Like, that's ADHD. You read one thing, like you see a video on Instagram and you keep swiping, and then you X out of it, and then you get back to that one video. You're like, holy shit, I feel like that was like 3 days ago. But hanging out with animals, even not dogs and cats, like boosts your mental health. So if you can find goats to walk or go to a farm and help out, I like farm animals. On that tour, they had pigs, and she said, she didn't say slaughter, but she's like, oh, those are our meat pigs. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I go, wait a minute, those pigs are going to die. But I couldn't be sad about it because I still eat bacon. I don't know. I had duck that weekend as well, and I like ducks. You just taste delicious. Like, I should be, I like the idea of veganism, but eating healthy is so expensive. Like, they eat healthy. Okay, I'll get a bag of kale. What do I do with that? I put it in a smoothie. It tastes like shit. Shout out to kale, though. What's up? But two assumptions. I want to talk about assumptions and communications, because assumptions happen a lot and I assume a lot, and it definitely like wears me down. So I did a lot of research, and by a lot of research, I did like an hour's worth. But I like to do it in my own mind of like how I'm going to talk about it and how I perceive it, which I think is the better way. Because anyway, like, you don't even have to listen to this podcast. Just go Google this shit, because I'm Googling it. Google. But if you don't know what the word assumption means, I'm going to do this. Webster's Dictionary describes a thing that is accepted as true or as certain to happen without proof. Yeah, that's me. All right. A big one would always be like finishing people's sentences. I hate that. Or like they assume what you're going to say. And there's like a stigma behind it. And I can't give a good example. It is like, you always do this thing when you get mad, and then you can't change the way you are. So that's why people assume, because you do the same thing over and over again or have the same reaction. And there's like a lot of passiveness. Like there's always like communication. If you don't have good communication, always you have like the assumptions. You just like go back and forth, and you just can't break that. And I hate it, but open communication is the best. I think when you're forward and blunt about everything, so much easier. And good conversations are tough. You're going to go through those tough moments. But yeah, assumptions are tough. And you know what? Ass out of you and me. If you've never heard that, look at the word assume. Ass out of you and me, because you assume something and it doesn't work out, okay? So there are ideas to help you out, obviously. I think active listening goes hand in hand with assumptions and communications, because you have to listen to the person and then think about what you're going to say next, because you want to assume. It's something that you just learn randomly, I feel like. And you learn it from like either like your friends or your family growing up. And it's so much easier because you're kind of fucking conceited if you assume all the time. Like, that's like a know-it-all. I hate know-it-alls or one-uppers. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I woke up at 6 a.m. today. And someone's like, oh my God, I woke up at 5:59 a.m. today. You're like, cool, shut up. There's this thing I tell people, because I'm short, and when they make short jokes, I'm like, I'm going to live forever. Fucking miserable. Because you never see like a 6, 10, 80-year-old. And I said that one time, and I'm telling you, this person was like, oh yeah, my grandfather was like 6'8". I go, no, he wasn't. I didn't believe it. I wanted to call them out, but you know what? I didn't want to assume that she was right or wrong. I don't know. But again, everyone does assumptions, and it's not even like, I think if you're self-aware with it and you call yourself out, I think it's a little bit easier, because you start learning the things when people say, oh, you always do this. Someone always doesn't do something. Or like, you always say this. Like, no, you don't. If you do, you're a robot. You a robot, son. You're doing virtual reality therapy, and you're a robot. So things that can help, and I'll put my spin on these too, is be patient. Like your ideas or assumptions can be a positive. It's like, it's an idea and you think it could be right, but you want to tread lightly. So you want to listen carefully. And if you're busy about thinking of what you want to say, you're not going to hear what the other person's saying. And that comes with active listening. So you got to make sure that you have the facts, because if you skip something and call somebody out, you look like an idiot. You got to rephrase what they say. What I do is I take their words and make sure they settle in, because I'm pretty bad at like interrupting people in my conversations, because I feel like I'm always talked over or like not listened to. So I always want to like do like the double dutch and like get in and try to get what I'm saying. And I say a lot of stupid things, so I think that's why. And not like I'm dumb, but like I just say silly, dumb things, and people don't listen to me. And I don't even blame them, because I wouldn't listen to me either. But yeah, you definitely got to like also like pause and reflect of what people are saying. I assume the worst all the time. Like if someone doesn't contact me or reply to me, I'm like, oh, they hate me. That's it. Or like if I didn't get like a promotion at work, or which my job doesn't really do promotions. It's like, what did I do wrong? You can like, I feel like assumptions and gaslighting can be in like the same ballpark. And then communications, because if you have bad communication skills with assumptions, you're not going to do a good job whatsoever. And I'm better with active listening, because it is a big body thing. And some people don't realize it, because sometimes I just don't want to talk to people and they can hear what you're saying back, but it's not interesting and your body's just like not facing them. So when I realize someone's talking to me, and I'm a sucker for people telling me one thing and I believe it. Like one time some guy at CVS told me having 20s on you is bad luck. So I was like always getting changed for 10s. So I heard that if someone's talking to you and their feet are pointing at you, that means they're active listening. But me, I'm looking at their shoes trying to see what color socks they have. And then by the time I look up, they're gone. I'm like, holy smokes. But yeah, body language is a big one, and talking over somebody is a big one. So I'm always self-aware of trying to make sure I am listening to somebody, because sometimes I do get a little bit bored, and it's not because they're telling me a boring story, which could happen. It's just me trying to do a million things at once, which I'm pretty open about. But yeah, man, I just, that definitely like wears me down, and I try to be realistic, but when you assume something and you're right, it feels so good, because you're like, I was right. And then you keep doing it. So you got to right the wrong, baby. You got to right the wrong. But yeah, you should be mindful of other people when it comes to assumptions. And no one else I hate with assumptions. Like someone will assume something and they're wrong. They're like, oh, I was only joking. No, you weren't. You just got called out and you were wrong, and now you're saying you're joking. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. When people go, oh, I'm only joking. No, you should say that you're wrong. That's what you should say. Ugh. Anyway. This episode flew by the way. I appreciate you guys always rocking with me. I'm getting really, I'm really struggling overall. If you've listened to the past couple episodes, you know what's going on. I don't want to keep revisiting it for the sake of not wanting to talk about it, and for the sake of trying to get more views. Because people, I think with my story and what's going on, it's interesting in a fact to watch me evolve, or is there a word called devolve? I don't know. Has everyone doing Wordle? I'm undefeated right now in Wordle. I'm doing pretty good. It takes me like the fifth or sixth time to get it, but I've been doing good. But yeah, and the podcast, I have so much fun when I do it. The same with interviews. I had to cancel an interview this week because I got my booster shot, and I was like, I'll be fine. I was fucked up. And it just bummed me out to have to cancel on somebody, and I just don't have like that drive I had, but I'm really pushing myself. And seeing that thing of like my coworker saying nice things and showing me that post was like a good boost that I needed. And it was like just really nice. And it was just something I really needed to hear. And I thank you for that. But yeah, before I go, this whole weed COVID thing, have you guys heard that? Because they were saying supposedly weed helps you like combat COVID. I don't know how true that is. So like, I wonder if someone was just like sitting there. You ever been to like a weed circle and people are just high as shit? In high school one time, someone asked for a bowl, and like weed bowls. And this girl, it was so funny. She goes to the kitchen. She comes back with a fucking cereal bowl. But someone asked her for a bowl to smoke weed. And they were like, hey, can I get a bowl? And she's like, yeah, I'll be right back. And then came back with like a porcelain fucking cereal bowl. And I never laughed so hard in my life. And I felt so bad for her. And that has lived rent-free in my head since 2004. God damn it. That is so funny. I'm trying not to laugh so hard. But I feel like it was such a high idea where everyone's like, dude, what if like weed combats COVID? I think everyone's had those conversations like, oh, what's the cure for cancer? What if it was just butterfly kisses? Or like that was the cure for COVID, just a good old butterfly kiss. I got long eyelashes. I would have been a sexy chick. But yeah, definitely a conspiracy. They're like, dude, it's probably like weed companies that gave us COVID. So we got to buy the weed, smoke the weed, get rid of COVID, and then just weed out oh my God, we got to weed out the COVID, bruh. Talking to high people. I don't know. Actually, people that are high are a lot funner. It's a lot better to talk to than people that are all coked out. Oh, I've dealt with a lot of people on drugs, and the best analogy I heard about coke heads is like they look like they're eating air sandwiches because their jaws are always moving. If you have a problem with drugs, go seek help, please. Drugs are bad, okay? I do appreciate you guys checking in with me. I'm sorry this episode was delayed. Hopefully you enjoyed it because I do. I enjoy it when I'm talking. A lot of active listening from me and active talking. And hopefully your ears and your feet and your eyes are presented at me. I'm not a big country guy, and I think he's a country guy, but I was put onto this song and I like it. Chris Stapleton, You Should Probably Leave. I like that jam. That's my song suggestion. I don't really have a movie, podcast, or actually, no, I do have a TV suggestion. On TLC, go check out the show, I Am Shauna Ray. It is this 22-year-old girl, right? And she has the body and like everything of an 8-year-old. And it's fucking crazy. I thought Brittany and Abby Hansel were like my favorite like medical anomaly. But Shauna Ray is awesome. She is so goddamn spunky. She's from like New York and New Jersey. I sent her a message to see if I can get her on the podcast. It's so creepy because she's like an 8-year-old and she like wants to go on dating apps and all she's getting is creeps, obviously. So there's like I don't know how she didn't get a job with To Catch a Predator. If they bring back To Catch a Predator, I am voting for I Am Shauna Ray. But she's like, yeah, I just deal with creeps all the time. And it's like sad for her because she wants to be a normal 22-year-old, but she sounds and looks like an 8-year-old. And then she goes like bars and like has to sit on the chair. And they give her like a crayon and mat to like do like tic-tac-toe and put the dots together. But then she's like, no, give me a daiquiri. Like even if I got the ID from her, I wouldn't believe her. Like she would have to walk around with like a letter from a doctor or a video. I don't know. But yeah, shout out to Shauna Ray, guy. Go watch that. It's on TLC. I've been watching a little bit of Before the 90 Days on TLC. TLC's weird because, I'm sorry to keep on going about this. I learned TLC is very scripted, but the lives and what they talk about personally is real, but I feel like everything's set up. Reality TV is just always set up. Let's get people on game shows more often, which I've been talking to people about. If you want to get on a game show, here's a tip. Go on like the main, like ABC, NBC, or whatever. Look up your favorite game. Just apply for it and turn yourself up to an 11 and at least have an interesting story about you. Like me, I was on the Match Game. I won $25,000. I don't know where that money went. And you just got to turn yourself up to an 11 and have something interesting about you. And be handsome or good looking, which also helps. But thank you guys so much for checking out another episode of 20 Tim Minutes. Episode 61. Please go to 20timminutes.com. I still got my Functioning Psychopath t-shirt and sweatshirt that are actually selling pretty good right now. People love the phrase. And I don't have my huge ass logo on it, so you can wear it and not even really show it off. You can even take a Sharpie and cross out 20 Tim Minutes. I don't care. You already gave me money. What I need. I gotta stop telling people I won $25,000, so stop sending me money. But thank you guys. I love you. And have a good one. And we're clear. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. If you are feeling suicidal, please dial 911.